The Blues Fan Forum podcast is presented by Interstate 70 Sports Media Group. I-70 strives to bring you the best sports coverage in the tri-state area. Find them on Facebook or at interstate70sports.media.
This is Jordan Bennington, and you're listening to the Blues Fan Forum podcast.
On the ice, under St. Louis city lights, where the Blues play with all their might. Jordan Cairo, fast on the attack, but defense falters, gotta cut him some slack. In Robert's arms, we find our glory. His skills shine, the team's best story. St. Louis Blues, we wear the crest. In Jordan Bennington, we put our trust to the test. On the ice, we fight.
Hello there, everybody, and welcome to episode 162 of the Blues Fan Forum podcast, your source for Blues news, views, and fan interviews. Presented by Scooter's Coffee. Blues fans can score amazing drinks like the signature Caramelicious, served hot, iced, or blended, with world-class espresso, fruit smoothies, Scoot energy infusions, and so much more. That is amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. Scooter's Coffee. We took a break last week. We are now here to recap some NHL playoffs, talk about some AHL playoffs, and see what we can kind of get into for the St. Louis Blues future and maybe some things from the past. Dakota has a much nicer looking background because he's in the middle of acquiring an indoor pool. Dakota, how are you?
Yeah, other than my fucking, basement decided to flood after all this fucking rain. Better backdrop, nice little, faux fireplace. On to better things. Round of now 4 teams. We get to talk about those Eastern and Western Conference Finals. I mean, exciting time for hockey fans. I mean, we are going to talk about the Game 7 that everybody heard around the world. But, man, what an exciting time for hockey. And, we'll get into some AHL. Hopefully Springfield just – guts it out and advances on. But cheers, boys. Here's to some great hockey.
All right, and special guest returning with us this week is Justin Scott. How are you, Justin?
How you guys doing, fellas? It's good to be back. It's always a pleasure joining the show. I always like it. I try to tune in every time you guys are live, but it doesn't pan out all the time. But I've been watching playoff hockey. I've been covering it a lot. Just on my own individually. We haven't done a lot of shows. I was doing some first-round matchups video-wise, like live-wise, watching them live. But it doesn't garner as much just because, we're more Blues-centric. So that's how it is. But I've been covering it. I've watched every single game. I have some thoughts. Some people may largely disagree with them, but I really don't care. So it should be fun.
Sometimes that makes for the best content. And you're still killing it with Guy and the Blue Note Fan Report, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Blue Note Fan Report. We haven't, like I said, we haven't done. It's been mostly me covering stuff through like via Facebook. I've been individually putting like individual period thoughts and everything like that. But as for like videos and getting live content out, we have not really been doing much. I know he's been kind of doing his own thing. He has to kind of get back to work and everything like that. So we've been lax on that part, but we're hope to get back to it pretty soon.
Yep. Gotcha. Yeah. Once the Blues are out, and the first round is pretty exciting just because there's multiple games every day and there's just hockey everywhere. I've kind of started to slowly almost zone out a little bit of if the game's on, I'll watch it. But if not, I'm like working on something else or doing something. Mm-hmm. So I definitely have the summeritis for hockey right now, which might be why we took last week off. All right. Let's go through the second round. We'll just go series by series and kind of talk about what we saw, what we were surprised by, if anything. Realistically, I think by looking at all of the series, only one underdog won their series. And we can go ahead and start with with that because it was the most recent. So last night, Montreal pulls off the overtime win in Game 7 to take the Buffalo Sabres down, which is the team that we kind of jumped on the bandwagon with. Finding guests from Buffalo was a lot harder than expected. Nobody wanted to sign up. So we were kind of semi on their bandwagon. But like I said, Montreal wins 4-3. I do know Zach Bolduc gets power play goal in that game. Justin, what are your thoughts on the Montreal and Buffalo series?
Might I add this? So we're starting off hot because this is going to be a topic that I don't think many people may agree with me. I thought for the most part this series it was enjoyable. It went 7, but just because a series goes 7 doesn't mean it's the most exciting and the most exhilarating. I thought that these two teams had a couple games where they were great. There was not really many even games. There was either a time where a team would dominate and then the other team would suck, and then the other team would dominate and the other team would suck. So there was never really a good balance between these two teams. And I think it just shows from the inexperience that both teams have in the playoffs. And I'm gonna use the word sloppy. I thought the series was pretty sloppy, especially from a defensive standpoint. I've been very heavy on the defensive standpoint, and I think this year's defense in the playoffs has been absolutely atrocious. That's just my opinion. But as for Game 7 last night, I think the wrong team won. I think Buffalo was a better team last night, and they lost. So Montreal gets another Game 7 win. I think that they should have lost against Tampa in the first round. I think that was even more of a blowout. And Montreal's finding a way to do it. So I mean, that's what most Montreal fans will tell me. But again, you got to stay humble. You won the game. Yes, you can tell me till you're blue in the face that you won the game. But did you deserve to win the game? Probably not.
Dakota, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to touch on Game 7. I think I'll work from Game 7 on back. But, I mean, yesterday, I'll touch on what he said. Yeah, it was sloppy. I think the series was sloppy. But Game 7 brought everything you wanted and more. One thing I want to touch on is Alex. And I want Alex Tuck to be kind of talked about. I think that's what they all kind of harped on for basically the entire game, all 60 minutes and overtime, is just how non-existent he was. And I don't think it's his fault. It's hockey, man. It's a game of inches. It's a hard game to play, and if you're not finding the places to put the puck, it's just not going to go in there for you. So I feel bad for him. I don't think anybody on the team is pointing fingers saying like just because he sucked, we sucked too. Ukko-Pekka Lehkonen had I would say a pretty damn good fucking game. Buffalo came on midway through the second period and just fucking threw everything at the net. I think they controlled all of the third period. There's a couple close calls on penalties and non-penalties. Like there was a goal interference call on
Jason
Davish,
Zucker.
whatever his. Yes,
Zucker ran into.
goal.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously that people were pretty pissed off and fired up about that. There was a no goal called because of an early whistle when clearly it was just laying underneath them and they just poked it through, and so that led to us going to OT. But like Justin said, I think the shittier team won and the better team lost, and I mean, hey, I give it to Buffalo. I mean, they gave it their fucking all. I think the city is excited for what's to come. I don't think this is going to be the last time you're going to see him in this environment. I think they're going to be in the playoffs from here to come out. So it was exciting. The series was sloppy, but it's a Game 7. I think everybody tuned in. They knew exactly what they're getting.
I kind of want to touch on it because, and I know it seems pretty harsh of me to say this. I think for me, I look at not so much this series, but even the last series. I think that we got an incredible series between Montreal and Tampa Bay. Again, I still think the wrong team advanced. I think Tampa should have advanced. But I think from the benefit of the fact that Buffalo played Montreal, this series was a give me. It could have went either way, and no one would have batted an eyelash. I think if the Tampa Bay Lightning end up beating the Montreal Canadiens in Game 7, I think the Buffalo Sabres are out of the playoffs, and they would have been out of the playoffs before Game 7. And that's not a disrespect to Buffalo. I like what they did. They're going to be in it, like Dakota says, for years to come. But the fact of the matter is they were not good defensively in this series. They were bad in this series defensively. Montreal wasn't any better, but they were a little better, and Dobish was really good when he needed to be. So Dobish was the storyline for Game 7 especially.
Yeah, they may have been shitty defensively, but they were getting offensive production from their defensive core. So, I mean, I feel like, it's 220-221. So, yeah, they may have played defensive shitty, but your defense is also contributing to about half the amount of goals that you were are on the score sheet. So I really don't think the Stanley Cup playoffs from here on out will ever be about defense. So there's like the offensive ability and the caliber of players that we have in this day's generation is just, I mean, look at how the Minnesota series started against Colorado. I mean, 9-6. Like,
well, yeah, and I agree with you. I agree. I do. I just, for me, I look at some of the games in the series and I say, okay, if the defense was better, you possibly could have had a better chance. Because although I do agree with that sentiment there, Dakota, if the defense was better when they needed it to be, instead of being lax, giving Montreal too much space, too much time, too much opportunity, this could have been different. If Buffalo was a little tighter defensively, you never know what could happen. It's a what-if statement. I could definitely say, oh, if this happens, this would happen. It's an if-then statement. We don't know what would happen. But I just think for both teams, I'm big on defense. And I get it. It's not everything, but it does win you championships. Defense wins you championships. And at the end of the day, the goal that was allowed in Game 7 in overtime, Luukkonen definitely wants that one back. But still, I think that's just how I feel. That's the only way I could put it.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about game 2, 5-1, game 3, 6-2, game 5, 6-3, and then game 6, 8-3. So you're talking about some blowouts there, 3 of those being Canadian wins. The most entertaining and close game being either game 4 that Sabres win 3-2, but probably the most entertaining would have been last night, the overtime game, where I think we're all on the same page of Sabres outplayed Montreal in that game, but Tampa Bay outplayed Montreal in game 7 of the first round. So it's like the Canadians are just finding a way to win. And when you get to a game 7, that's all you got to do. But it doesn't matter how you do it.
Hey,
you just got to do it.
Alex Newhook, fucking the Grim Reaper. I mean, geez Louise. Dude throws the hammer down when it counts. I mean, he didn't really have that
7 goals.
Series. I mean, holy shit. So yeah, congrats to fucking the OT winner. And I do think Montreal, this was good for the city. This was good for them, right? Or province, whatever we want to call it. But I do think it's good for Montreal.
Absolutely. I think it's good for them, but I also think that I do think that it kind of hit the reason I may have this type of opinion on Montreal, and I may not be on the bandwagon per se, is, well, one, first of all, the big guys for Montreal were not as effective as they needed to be in this series. Caulfield, pretty much non-existent in this series. On the power play, he was okay, but the top guys from Montreal were not the guys stepping up. It was, it was Alex Newhook. It was Zach Bolduc getting on the board. It was, who else? Josh Anderson. It's the guys, and you need that depth scoring. So I guess it's good on that front, but you got to ask yourself, if guys like Caulfield, guys like Suzuki are consistently on the board, how close would this series actually have been, with those guys showing up? Same with Buffalo. Same with those guys.
Hey, don't forget about Blues legend Alexander Texier stepping up for this team in the series. I think he had 2 goals and 2 assists. No, I think it's good. I mean, I look at anybody who played for the Blues as an extension of us always and forever. So it's good to see Texier and Bolduc advance on to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think they're going to give Carolina a run for their money. I do see this series going 4-2. I'd like to see it go 6. We all think it's probably going to go 4-1. I think Carolina is just going to dust this entire Eastern Conference, but we'll move on to another series.
Yeah, last thought. Zach Bolduc and Alexander Texier both have 7 points throughout these playoffs. Ivan Demidov also has 7 points.
Yeah, I mean,
they're getting depth scoring, and that's what makes a playoff team.
I mean, people are going to hone in on this. I heard a lot of, and like I said, not to disrespect the Buffalo and the Montreal faithful. I'm sorry. I watched the whole series. I listened to each fan base, and God, I am so sorry. I love it for both fan bases that they're competitive again, but God, are they just so nauseating to listen to. I mean, they were just absolutely dreadful. They were completely dreadful to listen to. A team in Buffalo Sabres who haven't been relevant in 14 years. Oh, now they're automatically the best team in the world. They can do no wrong. And then the Montreal Canadiens who have this conspiracy theories that the refs are against them when they literally have gotten the benefits of calls in Game 7, both Game 7s this season. In the playoffs. And I just, it was just so nauseating to listen. That's why I was never on the bandwagon of either team. But I think this is good overall in the end for Buffalo because although the growing pains were in the 14 years of being not competitive, the Buffalo Sabres need to go through a playoff loss. They're going to only grow with a loss. Mm-hmm. I know that sounds weird, but they're going to grow with growing pains with losing in the playoffs. It'll make them better in the end.
Yeah, they're bringing it back to the Blues. I think Jeremy Rutherford wrote an article with I don't know if he was talking to Oshie or Jackman or who he was talking about, but they talked about the Blues making the playoffs and getting swept. And even just being swept, how important making the playoffs was just to see how that level changes and being ready for that, that core, like when Oshie was coming up and Berglund and Steen and all of them. So, yeah, that's a good lesson for the Buffalo Sabres. All right, let's move on. Well, actually, let me pull up Justin Minich here is on the Go Habs Go train, and then we will go ahead and move on to our other Eastern Conference matchup that has been over for quite some time. Carolina goes out and just dominates Philly. After I thought Philly played pretty well against Pittsburgh, but didn't stand a chance against Carolina. Carolina's 8-0. Greg is saying that Carolina is going to steamroll Montreal. The only game he can see Montreal winning is Game 1 due to Carolina being off for so long. They could have some rust that they need to shake off. Before we move on to Carolina and Montreal matchup, Justin, what do you remember, since it was so long ago, from the Carolina-Philly matchup?
Carolina-Philly, this actually determined for me. Philly didn't play bad, but Philly was always going to lose. It doesn't matter if Philly or Pittsburgh are going to lose, and no disrespect to those two fan bases or two teams. Carolina, they're a team that was not going to lose in the first two rounds. I even said it when everybody was like, oh, yeah, the Ottawa Senators are going to upset the Carolina Hurricanes. I'm like, yeah, clearly you guys don't know Rob Brindamore hockey. That's not going to happen. I'm sorry. You got to trust the Rob Brindamore system in the first two rounds. But Philly didn't play bad. The actual deciding factor in this game was the fact that the Flyers played a good Game 3 and lost in overtime. They actually controlled the play in overtime and lost in overtime. And that was the deciding factor. And then in the next game, they gave up that shorthanded goal, and that was the dagger that put the nail in the coffin. So they didn't play bad, but, I mean, this was just a beast performance by the Canes. I mean, they're such a good team. They're such a fun team. If anybody is curious, that's who I'm backing. That's who I want to win the cup from this point on. So a little spoiler, but they're just so good defensively. Their gaps, not allowing their team to set up to break out of the zone in the neutral zone. And they're doing everything right now. And I know that it's been a long time off, but the first round, they weren't off as many days as they are here. Like they've been off for 12 days now. So 13 days, or whatever. And then the first round, they were off for what was it? Was it a week? Maybe was it a week?
I don't know.
About a week, something like that. For the first round to the second round. So, I expect them to show up if they play like I know they can. I expect them to do some damage in the next round. But there's not much thoughts I have on the Philly series. I just think Philly was outnumbered or outmatched, and I think it would have been the same way if Pittsburgh advanced.
Dakota.
Yeah, I mean, this will be a very short synopsis. I mean, I just feel like
It was
Carolina
a short
suffocated.
series, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, good take. They just suffocated every part of their structure. They just suffocated defensive zone, offensive zone, neutral zone. They were just fucking on their asses like flies are on shit. So, we all saw this coming after what they did in the first series, and obviously, fast forward to how they played against Philly. I mean, geez, Louise, they're a force. Going 8-0 to get to the Eastern Conference Finals is a sight to be seen and should be studied. I mean, Robert Rinnemore, what he's done with that team and what he's done for that organization is pretty great. I think the fan base is kind of stupid, but that's a topic for a different day. But I mean, they're a good team. They're very well structured. They can defend well. They can score, obviously, and they can shut down any team that they face. Philly and Ottawa, great teams. Obviously, they made it to the Stanley Cup playoffs for a reason. That's because I think the East is soft, but again, another topic for another day. But we shall see. I think it'll be a nice, fun series. I would like to see this go 6. I do think it probably will go 5. They will just murder, Montreal, unfortunately. RIP to that fan base. So we shall see.
I mean,
we know how Canadians get with their hockey. I mean, they're in the playoffs. They're the last remaining Canadian team. So, of course, all bets are off.
Uh-huh.
Like, if they lose this series, you can't come this far and then not set the world on fire.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, Dakota, I get what you're saying, but this goes back to my thoughts on the whole series about Montreal and Tampa, Montreal and Buffalo. Again, they found ways to do it, and that's what good teams do. They find ways to win no matter what. We saw it with the Blues. We all know that too well. But I feel like as a Habs fan, obviously the Habs are the only fan base that will tell you that, oh, yeah, we deserve it. But anybody from an outsider's perspective, I look at both series and I say that Montreal deserved to lose both series and did not. So I think the Canes, out of everybody, I think the Canes have the best shot out of any year in the Eastern Conference Final to finally get over the hump and get to the final. This is the best year, the best chance that they have out of every year that they've been in it.
Mike is a avid Habs hater. I guess that's just being close to Toronto. That's just comes with the territory, I guess. But he says, how you guys hate the Blackhawks. That's how he feels about the Habs. So I guess, Mike, a follow-up question for you then. Are you rooting, they're the last Canadian team? So are you on the let's go, we need a Canadian Stanley Cup? Or are you just saying, no, we'd rather win it next year? So let us know with a comment down there. Before Mike gets back to us here, the road for Carolina, I don't want to discredit them because they have been dominating. But you have to keep in mind, they played the wild card 2. Then swept Ottawa. Then they played the Flyers, who were the Metro Division 3 seed. And now they're playing Montreal, who is the Atlantic Division 3rd seed. So they're playing a wild card 2 and 2 3 seeds.
Yeah, but and I get it. And obviously the Montreal and stuff, it doesn't, that has little to do with them per se. It's just, the Canadians found a way to get there. But as for the Senators, them playing a wild, they earned that right. They earned every right. Just seed. They earned that right, just like Colorado earned that right to play LA. We don't have to talk about that fucking bore fest of a series that was Colorado and LA.
Covered that one.
Yeah, that was God. If you didn't fall asleep in that series, I don't know what the hell's wrong with you. I respect close games, but God, that was so boring to watch. And then obviously I know a lot of people were big on the Minnesota bandwagon. I'm sorry. I'm still not on the bandwagon. I'm still not on the Minnesota bandwagon. They get Quinn Hughes, and now everybody all of a sudden cares about Minnesota. Minnesota's the biggest threat in the West. It just wasn't going to happen. They weren't going to beat Colorado. They didn't have any chance. And when it came down to it, they went into that series and lost. And they lost in a, I think, pretty convincing way because they were terrible defensively, like I've talked about. So I don't know. I don't know, guys. I don't know.
All right. Follow up to Mike's question, or to my question for Mike. Mike says not a chance. They are not rooting for Montreal. So the Toronto area is okay with just saying we'll take a Toronto and Gavin McKenna Stanley Cup next year, I guess.
Oh God, don't get me started on the draft, dude. Don't get me started on the draft, Jacob. Jesus Christ.
All right. Well, you already started Colorado and Minnesota, so let's hammer into that one. I'm going to start with Dakota on this one for Colorado and Minnesota, because Dakota was on the Minnesota bandwagon. And he said, despite being a Dallas fan, if Minnesota took out Dallas, which they ended up doing, that he felt strongly that Minnesota could handle Colorado. Dakota, how do you feel now?
Well, I think Minnesota got tired. And the reason why I say that is they played Dallas so fucking hard that I think they kind of gassed themselves out when they really should have been preparing for, Colorado. But I don't think if they don't go and play Dallas how they played Dallas, they don't win that series. Congrats to beating a pretty damn good team in the West. But I think many just ran out of gas. And you, like Justin was saying, you just can't throw all your eggs in one basket. I do think Kirill Kaprizov was absolutely dominant. Quinn Hughes basically took that team and put him on his back. And again, when you're riding the fucking same horse every single day, at some point he's going to get tired. So, I think the goaltending on both series were great. I mean, for Jesper Wallstedt, I give all the props in the world, dude. Man, you were facing one of the most fucking high caliber offenses that the NHL has ever seen. Hats off. I know you didn't fare well, but those are growing pains, man. In the NHL, you're going to face a lot of shots. You're going to face a lot of quality shots, but at the end of the day, Colorado took them to school, and that's why they were the best team in the West, best team overall. And we shall see what they do to Vegas. But yeah, that series I thought was going to be a lot better. I honestly thought it was going to go 7. Wishful thinking on my part, but I thought, Colorado came out and just dispersed of them as they should have. I did think Minnie was going to play them harder. I thought they were going to play a kind of Dallas level game. It just didn't happen. So, fuck Stan Kroenke. Over and out. That's Justin, what do you got?
Oh, I agree with you. I didn't want to see Colorado advance, but and again, I don't mean to discredit you or anything or that tank, because I know a lot of people were on the Minnesota bandwagon. But I look at it and I just say they played Dallas really well. Dallas, not an excuse. They were missing 2 key pieces in Sagan and Hintz being out of that series. So obviously it's not an excuse. Every team plays through injuries at this point in the season. But Jesper Wallstedt was outstanding when he needed to be. Quinn Hughes was outstanding. Like Dakota said, he carried the Wild as far as he could. And again, I say that with respect. If Quinn Hughes was not on the Minnesota Wild, the Dallas Stars probably advance to round 2. And I know that's a bold statement because it's a what-if statement. Obviously, I love the move that Minnesota did to go out and acquire Quinn Hughes. But Quinn Hughes single-handedly won them, game 6? There was a couple games in that series where he just took over. I mean, he was just absolutely just – he Nathan McKinnon took over in that game. So, without him, I don't think that everybody is as high on Minnesota as they were. I don't think the depth was there. I don't think the center depth was there. I think Colorado was just a deeper team. But Minnesota's obviously going to be back. They always are. They always just seem to find a way to be in the playoffs every year somehow. So I'm not worried about them. They run into a juggernaut of the Avalanche. I'm with you, Dakota. Fuck Stan Kroenke, but they're a good team, so I got to give them credit where it's due.
To touch on Dakota's they just got tired stat, guess how many minutes Quinn Hughes played a game in his 11 games?
I couldn't even guess. Astronomical, probably.
Dakota's going 31.
I'm going to go 36.
Oh, damn, no.
Jesus.
That is very 30 minutes and 57 seconds.
Hey,
a game, though.
Come on.
Like, that's half a game. And he's not a big guy. Like, and
you said in round 1, right? Or just in the whole in the whole game.
11.
Okay.
Yeah, all
Okay.
11
Okay.
games we played. But
I mean,
got
you can
him.
see how I can misinterpret that,
Yeah.
considering I felt like he was the most effective Minnesota Wild player out on the ice. So,
so yeah, that's just a crazy amount of minutes to play over 11 games. Like you're playing half a hockey game every time. You also got Brock Faber up there near 30 minutes. So you got those two. You're pretty much like, we don't really trust our other defensemen, so we're just going to put them out there whenever we can. But yeah, can definitely makes it hard. So I think in St. Louis we're all rooting for Minnesota to win that series, but it was hard to say that they would, just with the juggernaut that Colorado is. Last series we can kind of cover here is the Vegas and Anaheim series, which I thought Anaheim was going to give it a chance, was going to give it a run for their money. They lost game one, but when they got one in game two, I was like, all right, they got this. And then maybe they kind of just did the same thing and ran out of gas. These West Coast games start too late for me, so I did not watch any of them. Justin, what do you got on Vegas and Anaheim?
It was a little bit more tight than the Edmonton series for Anaheim. But I mean, if you want my honest opinion, I've been hammering home the whole time. I mean, there was pretty much a lack of defense from both teams in different games. Anaheim played a very good game. What was it? It was was it 3 or 4? Something where they had like their best defensive performance. They won the game. I think it was like 4-1. They played really well.
Game 2, they won 3-1.
Oh, that's what it was. My apologies. So game 2, they played a really, really good game, and then came back in game 3 and then shit the bed completely. I just the way I viewed this series and the way I viewed most of the playoffs this year, I was wrong on some of it, but it was experience versus non-experience, and I think Vegas has been in it, so they were a little bit more battle-hardened in the end, and I think experience won out. But I think I wouldn't have been surprised if Anaheim somehow forced a Game 7 and possibly won. The Ducks should be super proud of what they accomplished. In these playoffs, beating Edmonton, who's been there for 2 years. Edmonton has their own problems, as we know, defensively and goaltending. But they still won a series against the team that's been in the final 2 years in a row. So I just think Vegas just ended up being the better team. They ended up having more depth in the end and more experience.
And Dakota, how comfy is your seat on the bandwagon?
I'm pretty fucking comfortable. I mean, Jesus, I asked you to jump on this bandwagon before the playoffs started, but you were all hell bent on Buffalo. So how's your fucking seat feel? I hope it's fucking hard to set the bench.
It's done, disappeared. It's gone.
No, I mean, believe it or not, I'm a big Joel Quenneville fan. So to see what he did for that franchise and to kind of see how he's taken it over and got him to the playoffs, like, I wish nothing but the best for the guy. I know he's been in the news for not so great things. Now he's been reinstated by the NHL. I mean, that dude just knows how to breed a winning team. So great to see him kind of be successful in his first year back. No, but I do think that like Justin mentioned before, Vegas tried and true. They've been here before. I think everybody hates them because they've just been such a talented expansion team from the very beginning. They really haven't sucked all that bad. But I mean, Mitch Marner and Dorfia have basically just put that team on their back. They were just absolute juggernauts when it came to scoring. Jack Eichel, again, dishing the puck out left and right. That team is just stacked top to bottom. Of course, you got Mark Stone fucking back better than ever. Of course, he took his 2.5 months off. But I would say the mainstay is Carter Hart. I mean, who would have thought Vegas goes through fucking goaltenders like they go through toilet paper? But Carter Hart's been a steady Eddie in net, and I'm excited to kind of see what him and the Wood goaltending tandem do. I do want to say this: whoever wins this series between Colorado and Vegas will win the Stanley Cup. I know we like everybody in the East, but I do think they're fucking soft, just like everybody else that plays in the East. I do think whoever
Right.
wins Colorado Vegas, they're going to win the Stanley Cup. I just think the
I
West is
think,
built different.
Yeah, no, go ahead. No, sorry. I think you put there's no I in we. I don't like every team in the East. I like the Canes. I like the Canes' opportunity to make the final. I didn't say they're going to win the cup. I said coming out of it, I said the winner of Colorado and Minnesota would win the cup. I still stand by that. Obviously, Colorado won. Colorado's the heavy favorite, as much as I don't like it. But Vegas has played really well, and that's a good point about the goaltending, Dakota. The Ducks had some very poor performances in net in this series, which really costed them as well against Vegas.
I mean, I think it's going to be one of those things too. I believe, and these years are all fucking starting to mesh together. The last two teams that have won the Stanley Cup in the West are these two teams. I believe it was Colorado and Vegas. So, in the other 2 years, it was Florida. So I believe the last two Western Conference teams that have won it have been these two teams right here. So they've been to the Stanley Cup Finals. They know what it takes to win. Vegas has been on their 9th coach in fucking 9 years. So I'm excited to see what they do and excited to see what that series brings. Again, I'd love to see it go Game 7. Who doesn't like a Game 7 sudden death to go to the Stanley Cup Finals?
How do you guys feel about Vegas getting slapped with the penalties for not doing the media after the game?
Tortorella's such a pussy.
Yeah. I don't know what the backstory is on that, but $100,000 and they lose a second round pick.
It was see now this is where we may differ a little bit. Obviously, I know a lot of people don't like Tortorella, given his track record. Seeing as he's an old school kind of guy, he doesn't really mesh well with the younger guys. The reason I like Tortorella, and I put this out, is Tortorella holds the league, the officials, to a high standard and an accountability, which most coaches don't. So I will say his antics, childish, at times for sure, but he does hold the NHL, the officials, anybody who is wrong in the league accountable. And I do think the NHL needs more accountability because God fucking forbid they don't have any. They mess up on something and they just try to play it off to something else, blame something else. They give some bullshit excuse. They just have zero accountability. So that's the reason I like John Tortorella. As for the fine was for obviously not going out and speaking to the media, but I think it had to do with the 5-minute major that took place in the game where McNabb got a 5-minute penalty and kicked out of the game for I don't know what they called the penalty. Was it a charge? It was something. But I looked at the penalty that they called, and honestly, this was not. I mean, it was not a dirty hit. I mean, I was shocked that it was a 5-minute. I'm sorry. I think it was weak 5 minute. I think it was shoulder on shoulder. I think just the way that the head, went back so hard against the glass. I think that they misjudged that call. So do I think that he needed to take it to that extreme and just shut out the media completely? No. But I also am not going to sit here and be the media's friend either because, God, did they fuck up a lot of things too. So.
Yeah, it's what you mentioned accountability, but you missed one person in the accountability program, and that was John Tortorella himself. So he holds everybody accountable, just not for himself. With the hit. Right, yeah, he touch people, do I won't go. We don't want to get canceled, but I think
don't you send the kid again?
Yeah, well, he might. We don't know. So the topic of discussion is the hit. I don't think John Tortorella necessarily knew exactly what was being discussed. I think that's why he was so pissed off as they reviewed it and still gave him a 5. And then a 10 and then kicked him out. I think that's why John fucking blew the fuck up like he did on the media. I do think he sets the standard for, crazy coaches. I mean, believe it or not, I think he tends to be a little outlandish when it comes to retaliation. But that's kind of why he knows his place in the NHL. Like it's kind of out with the old and with the new style of coaching. I would even throw Jim Montgomery into the old style of coaching. But we shall see. I don't think that's going to be a trend. Again, we failed to mention that John Tortorella took this team over fucking 21 games ago. So
oh, absolutely. Well, yeah. I said when they hired him, it was the same for who else was the team that fired their coach? It was the Islanders. When the Islanders did it, both of those moves reeked of desperation. They're like, okay, these two teams not playing well. Let's try to make a coaching change and get something going for these two teams heading into the playoffs. And obviously, Vegas made it. Obviously, the Pacific Division's ass, so that wasn't that difficult. And then the Islanders, who ended up playing poorly and missed the playoffs. So one worked and one didn't.
But if you're looking at from Bruce Cassidy's perspective, how do you get fucked that hard, that fast by a team that's in playoff potential? Like, what are we doing? That's like getting roofied at a bar. Like, you know what you're drinking, but you're not expecting the repercussions. Like, yeah. I just don't understand. I really hope I don't get this podcast canceled, Jacob, before you leave. I'm so sorry. But no, I just think that to me was the biggest shock of them all. Is like, you're going to fire Bruce Cassidy, who's basically been raw dog the entire year, with a goaltender who's basically been fined more times than any goaltender in the league, and then you're gonna hook him, and then you're gonna bring in the guy that also touches people. So like, it just baffles me. Maybe Carter Hart and John Tortorella are getting drinks after the game, talking about their next victim. I just don't know.
He's pushing the limit. Jacob. He's trying. But
he's trying. Bruce Cassidy was there for a while. He's been there since 22.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
But you're gonna fire when your team's going to the playoffs. Yeah, we should. Yeah, we need to get rid of them.
Again, I think it was desperation. It reeked of desperation. The Vegas Golden Knights were playing poorly, and they said, okay, what's going to change it? I don't even think it's a Bruce Cassidy thing. I think it's, what can we do to spark these guys to fucking play better? And it's sad that it came to the fact of, we need to let go of this coach who's been here for so long, that is a proven guy that knows what he's doing, to get this team going, to finally start playing like a hockey team.
Well, part of it is the reason that I hate them is their success that they've had since joining the league. But that also goes into, they are always in Stanley Cup win now mode. Like they just don't rebuild, and eventually they're going to collapse, and it's going to be god awful. They're going to have 20 years of just bad hockey, but they're going all in every single year, trading first round picks for this year or for the next 2 years or 3 years. I think they've only taken one first round pick in their history so far. So that's kind of the thing of, they fired Cassidy not because they were going to get into the playoffs, but they didn't look like they were going to win. And that was a problem. They don't care about getting in. That's not enough.
I mean, they have such a strong nucleus. I mean, look at the guys up and down. Like, now we have Dorofeev, but like, you have Ivan Barbashev, Jack Eichel. I mean, those two alone. I would say Dorofeev and Mitch Marner. But like, if you look at Eichel and Dorofeev, like, that would be the passing of the torch. Like, Eichel's been there for forever, it seems like, and Dorofeev is now fairly new. He's basically leading the team on his own. Mitch Marner's kind of basically the ugly stepsister. He's just there, whenever you need her. But like, now he's kind of coming to his own. I do think he had a kind of a dark shadow when he was with Toronto. So it's like, okay, now that he's out of that shitty market, now he's playing for Vegas, where they know that they're going to be in playoff contention every year. He starts playing a little more free. I mean, shit, it just makes more sense. But the fact of the matter is, when that ethos, when that fucking nucleus decides to fucking blow up, so is Vegas. I mean, I would be. Jacob's right. I would be very shocked if this team, lasts as long as it does. 20 years, a 20-year drought sounds horrible.
Realistic, unfortunately.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. When Vegas collapses, they're going to be very, very bad. I mean, very bad. And that's kind of how I feel about like a team like I look at Edmonton. I know we're not on Edmonton, but I look at Edmonton and I say, like, once McDavid's deal's done, like, he's not going to be on the Edmonton Oilers anymore. And the Edmonton Oilers, their fucking future's fucked. I mean, if you think Edmonton has a future, you're delusional. I mean, Edmonton's going to be so bad for years to come.
The only saving grace Edmonton has is if they make the decision that McDavid won't sign, they have to trade him. and you're going to get a haul back, even if teams know that you're only trading him because he's going to free agency, you're still going to get a good return. And then whenever you do that, you probably also have to trade Draisaitl. And so if you move all of those two people, your retool is back. Like that's
holy shit.
Dakota. Oh my God.
If McDavid's gone, Draisaitl's like, get me out of here too. So
hey, their fucking goals for went from fucking plus 86 to fucking minus 100.
For me, I don't understand how you have, I don't know how you have the best player in the world in Connor McDavid. He gives you the biggest fucking team discount ever, and you don't try to go out and put something around this man. Why? Like, you have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. That's it. And then everybody wants to talk. Everybody was on my dick about saying, "Oh yeah, look at Philip Broberg, who I think is developing into a number one defenseman. He would literally be the best defenseman on Edmonton." Everybody's like, "Oh no, what about Evan Bouchard?" You know who shits on Evan Bouchard the most? Edmonton fans. Edmonton fans shit on Evan Bouchard the most. This Philip Broberg would be the best defenseman on Edmonton. It's not even funny. I've seen a bunch of Bouchard games, and yes, he's a good offensive defenseman, but he gets those amount of points because he plays with a Connor McDavid. I mean, I don't know what people don't understand about that. You know, Bill Broberg's not putting up 100 points because, you know, he's not playing with guys of that type of caliber.
But if you look at that offer sheet now that we know Steiner is going to be your GM, man, Doug Armstrong pulling one more fucking string before he exits the team as a GM, smart son of a bitch. Like, Edmonton didn't realize what they know now. They fucked up.
They're paying Trent Fredrickson more than Dylan Holloway. Not Dylan Holloway's extension, but like as of right now, Trent Frederick is getting more money than him.
Yeah, it's
like what they steal. They steal, and knowing what Dylan Holloway is getting now, it was still a steal. And the fact that Edmonton passed on him so early and so easy, just like Philip Broberg, how dumb of an organization are they? We're finding out in real time.
Well, when you look at both guys, you look at like Holloway. Okay, Holloway obviously is injury prone. We all know this. But when Dylan Holloway is healthy, God, is he a dangerous hockey player to watch. And I think the contract that Blues ended up getting for him was a steal there, like Dakota said. Broberg, I knew that the Edmonton Oilers were not going to match Broberg. They didn't have the money for it, first off, and they didn't treat this guy right. The development clear wasn't there. If you watch what they did with him in Edmonton, he was up, down, minor league, or AHL, NHL. They didn't give this guy any lick of an opportunity, and this is why I said when they were going to extend these two guys, that they would want to stay in St. Louis because the Blues and the organization gave a chance for them, and they put their eggs in one basket. I mean, they kind of did, but obviously they spread the wealth a little bit. I obviously don't think it's like put it all in one basket, but you get what I'm saying. They had faith in these guys that they would pan out, and I think that goes a long way for young hockey players. They're like, oh, this organization has faith in me that I can be a good hockey player and I deserve this type of money. That goes a long way for those guys.
All right. I'm going to tell you guys about some places that you guys should go spend money. So first off, go check out Scooters because it's iced coffee season because it's hot out. You don't want hot coffee. That's crazy. Preferably if you can go to our favorite Scooters, which is the drive-thrus on Highway 143 and Troxter Way in Highland, or Vandalia Street and Indiana Avenue in Collinsville, and a brand new opening in Shiloh, Illinois. I don't know the address of that one or the corner, the streets of those. But there is a new one opening up in Shiloh here in about a month. Check out any of those. If you cannot do those, you can check out the 30 other locations in the greater St. Louis area. It is amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. Scooters Coffee. Also, do us a favor and check out Hughes Custom Design. They're a family-owned and run small business that's operated out of Maryville, Illinois. They specialize in laser cut, hand painted signs, and they have options that are typically ready upon request, and they can complete almost any request for custom jobs. You can find Hughes Custom Design on Facebook. Check them out. And then lastly, Imprint Labs. They specialize in bringing your brand to life with custom laser engraved Richardson hats and vibrant custom sublimated metal prints. Whether you want to make a statement with high quality headwear or showcase your designs on eye-catching metal art, they deliver precision, durability, and style every time. Elevate your brand with Imprint Lab, where your vision meets our craftsmanship. You can find Imprint Labs on Facebook or on Instagram. So thank you to our sponsors, Imprint Labs, Hughes Custom Design, and Scooters, who I will, I guess, have to be reaching out to at some point and seeing if they are in for season 5 of the Blues Fan Forum podcast when we start next season. All right, I want to get Dakota and Justin, I want to get your predictions real quick on the Western Conference Final and the Eastern Conference Final before we move on to Springfield and talk about a little St. Louis Blues minor league hockey. We started with the Eastern Conference earlier, so let's go ahead and start there. Montreal and Carolina. Justin, who do you got?
Carolina. Not a question. Carolina, with the luck that Montreal's had, I'll give them 6 games.
Dakota?
Yeah, I'll probably go Carolina 5 games. I just don't think that. I think Montreal, their engine's about to fucking turn off here in a minute. Carolina's about to fucking steamroll them. But yeah, Carolina in 5.
I'm going to go Carolina in 4 just because I think it would be cool for them to just have 3 straight sweeps.
Wow, Jacob is the avid Habs hater. He's really on the Habs
they
hater.
took my bandwagon seat away from me, so I got to be mad at them. All right. And then the series that will most likely be a lot more entertaining and a lot closer, Colorado and Vegas. Justin, who do you got?
Man, which one do I hate the most? No, I actually lean. I hate to say it, but the reason I'm doing it is I think Colorado is going to end up taking it. I think it would be cool to have Vegas back in there, but I don't know if Colorado is going to give it up. I think if they can take it, if Vegas can take advantage of, I think, a lacking defensive system that the Avs do have, because they do give up a lot of chances. If you do watch Avs games, they do give up chances. So if the Vegas Golden Knights can capitalize, they have a chance. But I'm still going to go with the Avs, and I'm going to say the Avs win this game, and I'm going to say 6 as well. I could see it going 7, but I'm going to say 6.
Dakota?
I mean,
Vegas and why?
I think Vegas is going to run into a very dominant Colorado team, but I think with the goal scoring depth that Vegas has and just the role that they're on, I mean, they're top 3 in all the offensive stats. They're going to come out hot. They're going to catch Colorado on their heels, and they're going to win this in 6 games. I think it'll be a 7-game series just for fucking shits and gigs, but I think Vegas takes this in 6. Go Knights, go.
That's fun. Like I said, I'd love to see. The only reason I want this is because if Colorado advances, I want to have Colorado advance, and then I want Carolina. I want Colorado to go through all this tried and tribulations to get to the final and then lose. That's what I want to happen.
About that. I do. I think a Colorado-Carolina Stanley Cup would be a lot of fun to watch. You just have 2 of the most dominant teams in the NHL this year. You have the President Trophy winners in Colorado, and then the Eastern Conference leaders in Carolina playing each other. I think that would be the best for Stanley Cup playoffs, but I also hate Stan Kroenke, so I'm going to have to go with Vegas.
Well, yeah, hey, I respect it. I'll bite the bullet on this one. I don't want it to happen, but it's going to happen. Obviously, I'm not going to go completely back. I said it at the beginning of this playoff format, and like I said, I may get some pushback from you guys on this one. When this playoff format was all said and done and official, I said that this year's bracket was weak, and I think from what I saw and what I have seen watching every single playoff game, my stance hasn't changed on it. I think the matchups we gotten have been pretty weak. I think the games have been pretty weak from a defensive standpoint. Teams have either been blown out. There hasn't been very many close games. I think the best series of the playoffs so far has been probably Montreal and Tampa. I really had fun with that series. I had fun with the Sens and Carolina, even though it was a sweep. But I think the closest, I really liked the Utah and Vegas series. The Utah and Vegas series was really fun as well. But outside of a couple games here or there, this has been not an overly exciting playoff to me. I may get pushback on that, but I don't care. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm looking kind of at the bracket here, and as I go down the bracket, like on the Western Conference, LA had no shot. Dallas and Minnesota, that's 50-50. Utah realistically had no shot. Anaheim, even though they beat Edmonton off the start, they didn't have a shot at winning the Cup. Then you go down the right side. Boston, you could say, but they kind of squeaked in. So if Pasternak's not good and Morgan Geekie isn't great, then Boston's nothing. Montreal is the team that probably shouldn't be still in it. We've talked about that, but they're the young gun teams that have. Ottawa didn't have a chance, and realistically, Pittsburgh or Philly didn't have a chance. So you're looking at like 8 of the 16 teams that got into the playoffs that had no chance at winning the Stanley Cup Finals. But I do think it's part of a bit of a changing of the guard. Besides the LA Kings and the Boston Bruins, a lot of these teams are getting their first look at the playoffs with younger people. We talked about Buffalo already. Montreal's got a young core. Philadelphia's got a young core. Anaheim's got a young core, and Utah's got a young core. So it is. They didn't have. None of those teams really had a shot at it this year, besides maybe Buffalo, and they got taken out by Montreal. But I think these are the teams that in a couple years you're not going to be seeing Colorado or Vegas or Carolina, and you're going to be seeing Utah, Anaheim, and Buffalo.
Yeah. Well, and why it's been so challenging for me though, and not to harp on Dallas and Minnesota, but Minnesota played a hard fought series and that one won that series. But God, I'm sorry, Dallas played a pretty bad series. I mean, like I said, they had some good games here or there, but like relatively, they were very bad 5-on-5. I mean, they went 100 and something minutes without having a 5-on-5 goal. They were atrocious 5-on-5. So that really killed that series for me, especially because of how bad Dallas actually showed up in that series. Dallas did not give as much fight. Jake Ottinger was not prime Jake Ottinger in that series whatsoever. I expected a lot more from Dallas. I really did.
All right. Let's. I got a comment here from Mike. Mike says, "Are you guys watching the World Championships?" I have not been. I don't even know what you can watch them on, but I'm sure it's something that's paid that I don't have. What Mike is talking about is the IIHF World Championships, which are like, I don't know, almost Olympics-ish related, but definitely not as cool because you have the Stanley Cup playoffs going on right now. So obviously those players aren't playing in it. The Blues do have 5 players playing in it. Dylan Holloway and Robert Thomas are with Canada. Oscar Sundqvist and one of our goalie prospects, I believe it is Luv Herenstam, whatever. I'll learn.
Handstrom.
Yeah, I'll learn his name
Handstrom.
Once he starts playing for us.
Yeah, love Handstrom.
Yeah. So they are both playing for Sweden, and then Pia Suter is again playing for Switzerland. So have not really paid attention to it at all to see who's doing well and who's not. Obviously, you could probably expect Robert Thomas and Dylan Holloway to have a pretty good focal point on the Canada roster. I do know that they have Macklin Celebrini wearing the captain C, even though Sidney Crosby and Ryan O'Reilly, I believe, were given the A's. So they do. Canada still has a pretty good roster there, but yeah, it's just not the Olympics, and it kind of hides in the background of the playoffs. Justin, have you caught any of these games?
I have not. Just like you said, I'll be honest. They probably hid it behind some shitty paywall, so
Right.
probably not. So I've only seen some clips. I actually, you know what? I don't even think I've really seen any clips, to be honest. I've mostly just seen like screenshots, like still images, pictures. That's about it.
It does say you can find some games on the NHL network. So if you have the NHL network, you can catch a couple games.
Hey, a shitty paid service.
Yeah, right. So tomorrow you can watch Switzerland and Austria at, let's see, 10 a.m. Eastern would be 9 a.m. here. So 9 a.m. or Germany versus Team USA at 1 o'clock tomorrow if you want. So if you got the NHL network, go ahead and watch that one. Yeah. All right. Going from the best of the best hockey playing for their country to what would be 3 levels down from that, I guess, is from Olympic or best of the best to the Stanley Cup to the AHL. Let's check in. Oh, damn it. Checking in on the Springfield Thunderbirds. They are in the 3rd round of 5 rounds of playoffs for the AHL. They are currently playing the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. They are down 2-0. The series is tied, so it looks like if the score holds up, which there is still about 10 minutes left, they will be down 2-1 in the series. Springfield, I don't know if you guys have caught any of the games. I know this one you do have to have a subscription to Flow Hockey to play, but just your thoughts on Springfield making, at a time when they may not have even made the playoffs before we sent Steve Ott down there, to now being in what is essentially their conference finals, or actually it is their 2nd round, like if it was the Blues. So their division finals, they call it the Atlantic Division Finals. Just thoughts on seeing our young guys make those moves, plus Justin Carbonneau and Adam Jiricek finally playing and getting games with them in as well. Justin, what are your thoughts on that? That was a lot. I need a lot of thoughts here.
And this is good. This goes back to how I talked about Buffalo, in a sense that they're a young team. You have a bunch of young prospects that the Blues have that Blues are hoping to pan out, and Carbonneau and Jiricek. They're going to be great for the Blues. This helps the Springfield Thunderbirds, but it also helps the St. Louis Blues for their future. The Thunderbirds they went on that tear. Steve Ott did some great things down there to get them rallied and ready. But this is going to do good things for the young guys because they're going to be battle hardened. The fact that they've upset two teams in this playoffs already, and say they lose this series to Wilkes-Barre Alive Scranton. So let's say that they lose this series. That, at the end of the day, it's going to suck. You want them to go far, but it's good for the growth of these young guys because it shows them how to be battle-hardened and it shows them how to win. So if they're learning how to win in big games now, when they get to the St. Louis Blues, they're going to have that winning DNA in their system already. So it's going to be good for the future. As for Steve Ott, the thing that solidifies this for me, Steve Ott is going to have a head coaching job in the NHL in the next 3 years. That's not going to be here. It's going to be elsewhere. That's what this move for me with Steve Ott solidifies. I know we're not talking about that, but that's just one of my thoughts as well. 3 to 5 years I give him, and he's going to be a head coach in the NHL elsewhere.
I think we've been saying that for the last 3 to 5 years. He's going to get a head coaching job. He's going to get a head coaching job. So it's nice that they sent him down, gave him that head coaching experience. Dakota, thoughts on the future of the current Springfield Thunderbirds and potential St. Louis Blues?
I mean, I'll keep it short. I mean, Justin pretty much, summed it up pretty well. I think, investing in the youth and investing in the growth of this organization starts in the AHL. And if you got guys that are going through the playoffs, is only going to make them, battle trusted and strong. And obviously it helps the development too. I mean, obviously you can't get playoff experience unless you're in there. So if you're not getting it with the St. Louis Blues organization, it's better to get it with, your AHL program. We got a lot of young guys in this farm club. There's a lot of young guys that are fighting for, not playoff spots, but roster spots next year. And good to see, Adam Jiricek and Justin Carbonneau. Would love to see what the camp looks like this year coming up. Because I think this program we got going on, obviously the AHL, but obviously the NHL, we're going to be a tough team going forward. I think this season was a lot of growing pains. It sucked, but looking forward to the future and how they're doing in the AHL and getting as far as like this round. Nobody really would have thought that would have been the thing when Steve Ott got the demotion/promotion to the AHL as the head coach. But hey, good for Otter, man. I do think ever since he left the ice as a player and started wearing suits behind the bench, he's a natural born leader. He's a natural born thinker of the game, and somebody with Ott's mindfulness and perspective, and obviously he played a long time in the NHL. Good to have that behind the bench. I mean, sure, the game has definitely gotten more experienced and gotten a little more talented since he's been. But having that young mind behind the bench, he's part of that new core that I was talking about. Out with the old, in with the new. He's one of those new style guys that I would love to see him behind an NHL bench.
Yeah. And shout out to Callie Rosen for just absolutely dominating these playoffs right now. 10 games, 7 points, a +6 as a defenseman. He's tied at the team lead in points.
Well, I mean, you go back. You go back to that move, and everybody was asking. Everybody was all sarcastic and like, "Oh yeah, bring back Callie Rosen, bring out the cup." The move was never about getting a cup in St. Louis. It was about giving a veteran presence to the Springfield Thunderbirds, and getting a guy that they have already had in their system that they know how he plays. That was all that move was about. So I mean, it's. I'm happy that it's panning out for him right now.
Yeah, I think they're leaders in the playoffs right now with Callie Rosen 7 points, Dylan Dubé 7 points, who we just signed kind of towards the middle of the year, and then Chris Wagner, who has been with the team, but when we got rid of, I can't think of his name, and Sam, if she was listening, would be able to tell me. But we traded the captain of the Springfield Thunderbirds at some point this year, so I believe Wagner picked up the C now. So those are your 3 leaders as far as for the Springfield Thunderbirds. So, we'll kind of keep you guys updated on that, but it is, as of now, not looking great as far as Game 3. They will be playing. Give me a half second. I think this one is only a 5-game series, which makes no sense to me. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, so the last game was Saturday.
All right. So, 5 games. Yeah, I don't get that. I don't know why you would why not do 7? They're used to playing back to back or like 3 games on a weekend. So do it again for playoffs. All right. Dang. Well, that was everything, guys. We kind of killed it today. We're an hour and 7 minutes in. So Mike did let us know here that in the World Championship, Sidney Crosby had 4 points in a game versus Denmark. He says the hockey is top notch. I don't know if that's sarcasm or like actually like the hockey for Team Canada is obviously top notch. You have Celebrini, you have Sid the Kid, you have a lot of really good players, but I don't know how the hockey would be for Denmark.
Probably not very good.
I know, probably the same as the Olympics. It might even be the same roster. I don't know who else they have.
Oh, I know, like I know this is deep in, but I want when I know we kind of touched on it a little bit with before we started or whatever about your thoughts on the whole Thomas rumors and possibly moving up in the draft. What's your guys' thoughts on that? I mean, like I feel like we're pretty much on the same kind of wavelength here, but I don't know about your thoughts on the draft pick, like moving up wise. I'm not as much on the bandwagon as everybody else is on that because I don't want to ruin the future for a player that obviously I want Otto, but he's not a proven commodity. You're not getting a for sure, Celebrini. Otto Stenberg could come in and be, or not Otto, Ivar. Hey, don't butcher me there, Jacob. I didn't call you out when you called Jiricek which is your check. So don't butcher me, bro. But I just want to know your guys' thoughts on that because I'm not really down with the Blues giving up good young prospects that they already have that I think are going to be good for this team for a guy that I think will be good in the NHL, but isn't a for sure pan out, if that makes sense.
No. That's my thoughts.
No. So you're not in favor of the Blues trading young prospects or trading anything to move up in the draft.
Yeah, I think it's dumb as shit.
Okay, I'm glad that me and Dakota are on the same wavelength. That's about the verbiage I would use. I think it's dumb as shit there. I think it's dumb. I think it's stupid. I think the people that constantly sit there and go, oh, well, see, this is what was the problem with the Blues playing so well in April. I'm like, bro, did you see the fact that the fucking San Jose Sharks are picking number 2 and they were in the same spot as the St. Louis Blues? Like, come on. Like, get out of here. First of all, the draft being the draft lottery is a discussion for a different day. I'm sure you guys know how I feel about it. I've been pretty vocal about it. I fucking hate the draft. I think it's so goddamn fishy, but I that's about as much as I'll put into it. But I hate the narrative of tanking. I think it's stupid. I think tanking is illogical. I think it's dumb.
Hey, it's all the NHL GMs giving fucking Gary Bettman fucking, a happy ending.
The good old happy ending, I know. Pretty much.
Maybe Doug needs to do that a little bit more. He needs to get up to wherever Gary Bettman stays. Is that in Toronto? I don't know. That kind of be my guess. New York. Maybe?
But I just don't understand. Like the co-host Guy, for example. I know you guys have had Guy on before and talked to Guy. He has this idea that there's no possible way that they could have anything fishy to do with the draft. And I'm just thinking to myself, there's betting going on in 3 other major sports, and there's probably betting going on in the NHL, and you're telling me that you don't think that that's a possibility that they could possibly rig the draft? You don't think there's any possibility at all that that's the case? You don't think it's fishy at all that a GM for Toronto gets hired? He has a so-called interview, or not interview, but meeting with this guy like before the draft, and then Toronto gets the first overall pick. You don't think that's fishy at all? At all? You don't think that's fishy? I mean, I do. So, I don't know. It's stupid to me, but
I think them having the actually doing like the numbered ball system and pulling those out makes it a little bit more credible. I do still think it's fishy that these big market teams keep getting these superstar players. But back when they just flipped the cards and they were like, oh, it's this team. It's like, really? You're not even going to show us how you figured that out. You're just going to tell us that is what randomly happened behind closed doors. So at least they're pulling the balls out in public and the numbers are assigned and that kind of it's got some like factual base to it where they're not just like, yeah, just trust us. It happened. Yeah. It happened earlier.
I guess, but with the balls thing, I've heard. Sure, you guys have heard it with the pulling the balls out. I'm not feeling those balls. You don't know if that shit's weighted. You have absolutely no idea if those balls are weighted. Obviously, this year they had it to where they had this machine where it sucked the balls. But you don't. I don't know anything about that machine. I don't know. Just because it's live doesn't mean it's factually like legit. Right. I'm sorry. It doesn't mean it's legit. I don't have any idea what that thing does. I don't know what kind of balls you have in it. I don't know if you have a weighted ball, if it makes it suck it up more. I mean, the Toronto Maple Leafs had a 4% chance. The Blues had a better chance of winning the first overall draft pick after the third ball was dropped than the Toronto Maple Leafs did, and the Toronto Maple Leafs won the draft. I call bullshit. I'm sorry.
Justin's on the fucking passionate ball fucking talk. Jeez Louise.
I know. You got to talk about the balls.
You need to put your tinfoil hat on for the conspiracy theories.
I do. Need to go out and buy some tinfoil.
The NHL rigs the drafts, and Area 51 has aliens.
Jesus.
Sorry, but hey, that's just the way I feel about it. I just don't know how you look at it. And even the San Jose thing. I mean, you look at how far they jumped. They were at 9th. And I get it. The placement is the placement for a reason. And obviously the draft lottery, you know, you can get lucky at every switch of a dime. But I look at Toronto, they went from 5 to 1. And then San Jose went from 9 to 2. So obviously with how they do the balls and how they do them, like where it's like a combination thing is, you know, that's just the luck of the draw, I guess. But still, I think it's a little fishy. I think they needed a superstar in Toronto. Toronto's been downhill, going downhill, and then San Jose needed a guy to play with Celebrini. I think that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, I think it's just, I think it's just fishy when the big market teams get these generational draft picks. Like, yeah, whatever. So. All right. Sounds like we need to have Justin on next draft lottery, and we'll just get his reaction live next year to see what happens.
I was live for my reaction. There was not much, like, because it's only like 30 minutes. So they you know, it's only 30 minutes, and they do it quick and easy and everything like that. And I don't know. I wasn't like throwing shit or nothing, but I just was like, come on. I was like, come on. Are you serious? Like, there's no way you can watch that and tell me that's not a little. I mean, if you go and listen to obviously St. Louis, you know, obviously they have their media and stuff like that. But if you look at different media outlets and everything like that, they were calling out how it was fishy. Even TSN analysts, you know, who are Toronto based, you know, are talking about the shit being fishy.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right. Well, lots of information throughout this episode. We talked lots of playoffs, the NHL and AHL, some St. Louis Blues news, as well as kind of going over the draft and whether the Blues trade up. So plenty to listen. If you're still listening, thank you. Make sure you guys give us a follow, Blues Fan Forum Podcast. We are on X, we're on Instagram, and we're on Facebook, Facebook being our biggest one. Do us a favor and check out all of our sponsors too. Scooters, Hughes Custom Design, and Imprint Labs, and then give Interstate 70 Sports Media a follow on your socials as well. All right, that is all for us. Justin, give us a big let's go Blues, and we'll get out of here.
Let's go Blues.
All right, see you, everybody.